Cabinet meeting. It's now 7 p.m. and I would like to start the meeting. I'm Councillor Lynn Worrell. I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded for publication on the Council's website. Item 1, apologies for absence. Rihanna, do I have any apologies?
Yes, Councillor Holloway.
Thank you. Item 2, minutes. I move that the minutes of the Cabinet meeting of the 19th of November 2025 be approved as a correct record. Are there any comments on the accuracy of the minutes?
No.
Can't see anybody's hands? No? The minutes are approved, subject, no amendments, so the minutes are approved.
Approved.
Item 3, I have not agreed to any urgent items of business. Item 4, declarations of interest. Does anybody have a declaration? Councillor John Kent.
Thank you, Chair. I have an interest in item 17, the draft capital programme. The nature of my interest is that my wife works for Treetop School, who could be a beneficiary through the programme. I've considered it. I believe it to be a non-pecuniary interest. I will, however, be leaving for that item, as I don't believe it would be appropriate to remain.
Thanks, John. Anybody else? No? Okay, thank you. Oh,
Just indicated.
sorry. Thank you. Dan.
Because the interest relates to your wife's employment, will need to be treated as a pecuniary interest, but the action is still the same.
Thank you. I should have sought clarification before the meeting.
We got there, so we're sorted anyway. Thanks, John, for declaring that. Item 5, statements of the leader. I don't have any statements for this month's Cabinet meeting. Item 6, briefings on policy and budget and other issues. Nothing this month. Item 7, no petitions have been submitted from members of the public. Item 8, 3 questions have been submitted by non-executive members, 2 questions from Councillor Rigby and 1 from Councillor Spate. I propose that these are dealt with when the substantive reports are heard. Item 9. I'm not aware of any matters referred to the Cabinet for consideration by an overview and scrutiny committee, save for the 3 briefing notes that are contained in the agenda, which contain recommendations to Cabinet from overview and scrutiny. As these documents relate to items on the agenda tonight, they will be considered when we get to those substantive items. And they are the Greater Essex Devolution and Local Government Reorganisation Update, item 14, Corporate and Improvement Plan Quarter 1 and Quarter 2 Performance Report, item 13, and Provisional Savings Proposal, FIN-01-2026, GPS Review, item 11. On to item 10, delegate decisions since the last meeting. A list of the delegate decisions since the last meeting is provided in the agenda and published online. We now move on to item 11, budget scrutiny recommendations. We have received a question from a non-executive member, and this question will be heard after the report is introduced. Councillor Ben Maney, as Chair of the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee, will you please introduce the report?
Thank you, Leader. Thank you for inviting me to present the recommendations from the Corporate Overview Scrutiny meeting on the 13th of November, where we considered the. Can you hear me? Okay, so where we considered the budget savings that were put forward. I know Cabinet were there, so you would have heard the comments and the recommendations from the committee, but I thought it would be helpful if I just came and sort of summarised what those recommendations are and gave you an update on whether or not they're still live recommendations or whether there's any issues still surrounding those, if that'd be helpful. So I mean, if we just I just go through the as they're listed in the recommendations. Yeah. So at 2.1, there was a request for the transformation of children's social care operator model to be presented at the next Children's O&S committee. I've spoken to the chair, and that's now happened. I believe they scrutinised that at their last meeting, and he says that the committee were satisfied, and there's no outstanding issues arising from that. So I think that recommendation now, I think it's fair to say there's nothing that Cabinet needs to consider. We wouldn't object to that saving, and I'm sure the committee will follow it as it progresses, but that's not really a live recommendation now. At 2.2, this one I think we're going to get an update from Councillor Heath tonight on this, but there was a request that Cabinet reconsider the proposal to reduce the noise nuisance out of our service. It was a relatively small saving. I know that means, you know, if you were to adopt that recommendation, there would need to be a saving somewhere else to mitigate that. But I hope that since the meeting, Cabinet have had a chance to relook at that and hopefully come up with an alternative saving that will allow us to keep that valuable service in operation.
Do you want us to do them one at a time?
Up to you.
I've spoken to the officer. That is being reconsidered, and we are looking at taking that off and looking at savings that can be made to bring that up to date and everything. So, but I can get back to you with what those are at a later date, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you. I think just that reassurance that it's being looked at and that there's a commitment to try and offset that saving somewhere else is welcome. Thank you. Do you want me to carry on?
Carry on, back to you. Yep.
Thank you, Leader. And then 2.3, there was a recommendation that the review of the local government pension scheme employer contribution be presented to the next meeting of corporate ONS. There were some concerns that we felt we needed to address around whether or not that proposed saving could in some way undermine the viability of the scheme or affect the contribution or the benefits of some of our employees. Councillor Maurice Cook came to our last meeting and I think we're more than reassured now that that is a viable and worthwhile saving, and there were no concerns around that. And I'd just like to thank Councillor Maurice Cook and officers for preparing that briefing, which was, it allayed all concerns, I think. 2.4, Leader, we requested more information on the commercial waste income proposals. That request, I think it came from the chair of the Place Committee. I guess really we've not had any further briefing on that or any information since the meeting, but I'm assuming that if an update can't be given tonight, that perhaps the briefing will go to the next Place Committee.
Thank you. Well, Councillor Holloway is clearly not here tonight. She's poorly. I'm just looking for... Oh, it was provided. Yeah. It's been provided to the Place Committee.
Has that gone to the Place Committee or the Corporate Owners Committee as well? Okay, I mean...
So if it went to Place, it should have gone to corporate because it's budget, so we'll make sure it goes there.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, all of these recommendations are obviously Corporate Owners Committee recommendations because they were adopted by the committee, but I think it was agreed that where they relate to a specific ONS committee, they could go there and back to corporate if that's possible. So again, not for tonight, but if we could have perhaps a briefing at the next.
We'll make sure that a briefing goes to the next meeting. I'm sure officers will capture that tonight. We'll make sure that happens, Ben.
Thank you, Leader. And again, I guess in relation to the next saving, energy management, that again, I don't know whether there was. I haven't seen a briefing on that yet. We were promised one at the meeting, but Democratic Services officers told me this afternoon they haven't seen one either. So, I mean, Councillor Holloway obviously won't be given an update on that tonight, but is there perhaps an update that we could have on that from the Director?
Was that under you or Councillor Holloway? Energy management?
I had the utilities.
Was it the utilities one, Ben?
I think it was presented by Councillor Holloway.
Oh, okay then. Then we'll follow up because she's clearly
Councillor Heath
not
has
here.
got an update. I mean,
Okay.
We can take it to Place at the same time.
Yeah, we'll take it to...
Take it Place at the same time.
Oh, Councillor Maurice Cook's got it.
sure, yeah, thank you.
So obviously this doesn't sit under my portfolio, but I thought it might come up, so I did ask for it. So the way that the 400k saving will be released is they will enable the heating and cooling efficiencies by upgrading to energy efficient heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems, and the savings are estimated to be 100,000 on that. They will have installed programmable thermostats and the savings there are 50,000. There will be implementation of zoning systems to heat or cool only occupied areas, Savings there are estimated to be 20,000. They will undertake lighting upgrades and replace the fluorescent bulbs with LED lighting. The savings there are £70,000. And they will be implementing smart meters and energy management systems link to monitor and control energy usage in real time. The savings there are estimated to be 160,000. Systems link enables us to undertake accurate bill monitoring and validation across the estate. The measures will be applied to all corporate landlord properties, not just the civic offices, and they are confident that the 400,000 will be achieved.
Councillor Maney?
Only thing perhaps I would ask is, could we have that as a written briefing at the next corporate owners committee? Because I think members would like to just look into that in a bit more detail and ask a few questions.
Oh, absolutely not a problem.
Thank you. And there was one other recommendation, and that's shown at 2.6 of the report, and that was in relation to smarter commissioning, which was quite a considerable saving
20th of
proposal
January.
and an ongoing one. And we're going to be taking a briefing on that at our next corporate owners committee meeting on the 20th of July.
January.
January, sorry.
I don't mind if it's July.
We won't be here in July.
Be warmer than Ben.
So, yeah, my apologies. And that's the last recommendation. I don't think there's anything more I can add. As I said, some of the recommendations have now been satisfied, others that we're waiting further information, but if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
There's two then.
Okay, thank you. We do have...
Two.
No. First of all, Ben, can I just have on record and thank you once again for the way that you conducted the budget overview and scrutiny. It is a difficult meeting for anybody to chair and to make sure that everybody is, you know, able to put over their case and be heard on the evening. So again, I'd just like to extend our thanks for the work that you did prior to that, during the evening and since then. So I'd just like to have that on record.
Thank you.
Does anybody have... There is questions from Councillor Spate, but before I add anything, does anybody have any questions for Councillor Maney? No. Then Councillor Spate, would you like to ask your question? Okay. So, Councillor Spate would ask you a question. As noted and this is what your question was, as noted prior to and during budget scrutiny, many of the budget saving proposals were severely lacking in detail. One suggested savings of 400k with no detail on how this would be achieved. Can the portfolio of resources assure members that they will take responsibility for ensuring viability of proposals and explain how they will ensure that budget proposals are both viable and genuinely attainable? That was your question? Okay. And Councillor Heath will now answer that question.
No, I am.
Oh, Councillor
It's
Morris
me.
Cook. Oh, okay. I had both names. I just took a guess. Okay. Councillor Morris Cook's going to answer that.
You can breathe now. Thank you. I mean, it would be really easy for me to sit here and go, yes, of course, but I don't think that's a reasonable reply. So I do thank you for raising this important point. And I do absolutely take responsibility for ensuring that the budget proposals are viable and deliverable. It is true that some initial proposals were presented at a very high level during the scrutiny, and it was acknowledged at the time. And I think that's come across from what Councillor Maney has come across. However, no savings will be implemented without a clear and detailed delivery plan that's supported by the risk assessments and governance checks. To strengthen the process, we've introduced mandatory detailed implementation plans for all the savings before they can progress, regular monitoring and reporting to Cabinet and scrutiny committees to track delivery and address risks early. And some of that is, once we do report quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4, there is a monthly step check to like a gate review on the savings to see exactly where we are at any time. Are we at risk? Are they red? If they're red, we do need to look how long they anticipate. Is there any actions that can be taken? Or do we have to like bite the bullet on that one and say, right, that's going to fall. What do we need to replace it with? Because we can't just lose something. It has to be mitigated. We do look at the amber and see what we can do. We're also, which is something that's really helping, and it's helping in this process at the moment, we're trying to pull forward as many of the savings as we can, which is what we're doing in this current year. And obviously, the earlier you deliver a saving, you get the full run rate and the full year implementation, where some of them were planned on being implemented in Q3. And you will hear in one of the 5 reports I've got tonight how we're doing on the current savings. But the earlier we can implement, you get a better saving than you would if it was implemented at year end. So there's some of the things that we are doing, and I do assure you that we do take it seriously, and we are looking every single month, where are we with the savings, where are we with the business cases, are we on track, are we off track?
Thank you for that. I mean, the reason for the question.
Councillor Spake, can you ask a question on the reports and not, anything outside of it today? Okay, but you've already made a statement. I've just asked, you need to ask a question on the report in front of you tonight. Thank you.
So just to allow you, Councillor Spate, I will be referring to the settlement later on in one of the reports.
Do you want to? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. No, I just said, can you ask a question? You wasn't asking a question.
The point is, Lynn, the question was going to the question that I asked related to the match. It's going to be presented later, but you jumped in and put it on the here. So
Well,
I'm just trying to.
I'm just following
I won't
this.
be able to speak later on.
Okay.
But let it lie now, it's done.
Okay, thank you. So we're moving on then. So we're moving on to, we don't need to do the recommendations. No, we don't need to do it because Ben's done the recommendations as we've gone through them. So we'll be moving on to item 12, which is the social housing LGA peer review, which we have a question from Councillor Rigby. This will be heard after the report has been introduced. Can I ask Councillor Mark Hooper to introduce the item?
Thank you, Leader. First of all, I'd really like to say I welcome this review. It will help us as a council improve our landlord services. So the Local Government Association, LGA, Social Housing Peer Challenge Team were invited to carry out a review of our landlord services, which took place between the 30th of September and the 2nd of October 2025. The team that reviewed the housing services was made up of senior officers and councillors from other councils across London, South East England and Lancashire. This provided an independent health check on our HRA landlord services against the regulator of social housing, RSH, customer standards. It would give us advice on inspection readiness, and also look at leadership, governance, culture, performance, data and tenants' voice. The report did highlight some good achievements from council, things like there seemed to be a reduction in councillors making referrals regarding housing concerns, and the report seemed to indicate that they were pleased with the way the Black Shots decant was handled. However, that doesn't mean to say there aren't significant concerns. The report made 7 main recommendations, and I'm just going to give you the headlines on those recommendations. assurance framework for consumer standards. So we're looking at having clear member reports. That would be to myself and to Cabinet, so we're clear on how we're doing against the RSH standards. Compliance and safety, maintenance, accurate information on the 6 main areas, which are things like gas, electric, and Legionellas, for example. And this also includes damp and mould, and that there should be audit-ready evidence reports, not just statements. A single performance data hub, one single version of the truth. The housing performance risk, replacing fragmented and often inconsistent data. Tenants' voice and complaints learning, stronger tenants' engagement. And we'll be publishing TSMs, and that's tenant satisfactory measures, quarterly, and close the loop on complaints learning. HRA business plan and investments. Stress test the 30-year HRA plan and prioritise decency and compliance before development with the annual refresh. Members and officers' roles and behaviour, clarity around representative roles, behaviour, training and standard schedules, scrutiny and assurance reports, making sure they are clear and they are often received by scrutiny committees. Phase housing improvement programme, building, delivering capacity with a manager through the Housing Improvement Board with a clear programme of ownership, making sure there's clear goals and who's taking responsibility for those. So, actions that have already started to be taken is that I'm expecting to have, we're working on an action plan already, which I'm hoping to have completed by mid to end of January, and I will give feedback to Cabinet, and obviously it will go to People's ONS and full council if required. Appointing a lead housing director. Interviews will be taking place tomorrow, I believe, and we'll be looking to appoint a programme manager. I want to make it clear this is not necessarily adding money, we're actually reorganising posts that were already in existence. And that there'll be more of a focus on housing, where I think we had a housing officer that looked at good growth and housing. We're just focusing on housing. I will be attending the Regulator Social Housing, the RSH meetings that we're holding in Thurrock, which we're hoping that these will start in January, but we may have to appoint an independent chair before we actually go ahead with that. We are looking to build on the work already started involving tenants, and I really want to make the point that the tenants should be at the heart of what we're doing, and I will be working hard with officers to meet tenants and listen to their concerns and help involve them in some of the solutions. With that, I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. I'm going to go straight to Councillor Rigby. Would you like to ask your question? Yeah. Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Hooper, for the report. So the review highlights many areas of concern and need for improvement, as you've said. However, some initiatives, such as the Complex Housing Intervention Programme, are recognised as working well. How do you think learning from these areas can be used to help remedy more challenged aspects of housing? Councillor Hooper.
Are you referring to the CHIP team? Right. Okay. So the CHIP team is a success. We will share in that success. But the way the CHIP team worked showed the council, combined with clear accountability and a joined up delivery and a focus on outcomes, it can achieve strong results. The improvement task is to scale these principles into core landlord functions and underpin them with strong governance, data and assurance. So I think there are things we can learn from the success of the CHIP programme.
Councillor Rigby, do you have a supplementary question?
I don't, thank you. I'm satisfied with that answer, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything they want to say on this item? No? No, you can't, Councillor Spate. We've moved on. No. Thank you. Councillor Hooper. Would you like to read the recommendations?
Right. Okay. So the recommendations is that Cabinet note the findings of the LGA social housing peer review.
Agreed.
Right. There's a slight change to the next one, and I'll tell you why. Because it's in the wrong paragraph. So I'm going to refer not paragraph 7 but paragraph 4.22. So approve the process governance structure for managing and overseeing the improvement plan as set out in paragraph 4.22. Okay. Delegate authority to the Executive Director of Place in consultation with the Chief Finance Officer and the lead member for social housing to finalise and detailed improvement plan and associated resources.
We're going to move on to item 13, which is the corporate and improvement plan, quarter 1 and quarter 2 corporate performance report, which is my report. So in October, the council adopted the new corporate and improvement plan. This means that this year's milestones and metrics have been reviewed to ensure they provide a good indicator of how well we are meeting the plan's priorities. Officers have listened to feedback over the past year, and you will see that the data is presented in a way which draws your focuses to areas which require attention and tells us how we are performing compared to the wider sector. And importantly, it brings together our corporate performance metrics with the wider work we are doing to improve and recover from intervention, providing a complete picture of the direction of travel for the organisation. This report was considered by Corporate Overview and Scrutiny on the 4th of December. They were very complimentary of the new layout, and the officers had changed the way performances are presented and that areas of improvement are now clearly tracked. Comments and recommendations from that committee can be found on page 17 of tonight's agenda. This report is clear and transparent and will continue to evolve as we move through intervention and the transformation of our service, which I will present in a later report in the agenda. I'm confident that all Cabinet now have conversations with their own officers to discuss their own service area metrics. I'm pleased that Commissioners have also recognised the good work that has gone on into making our performance more transparent and how work enables us all to be more accountable to our residents. I'm happy to take any questions or if anybody's got anything that they want to say on their own service areas. Councillor Morris-Cook.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I do agree. I think it's an easy to read, and it's like the basis of what we're talking about, easy to do business with. And I think it's definitely work in progress. I think we've come on so far. What I would say is if we look at page 102, where we look at the metric on spend on agency staff, it's about having the narrative behind it, and it's something that we need as Cabinet members with our officers, because actually, although that looks worse, it is still within the staff costs envelope. So it's not an overspend per se. However, that's how it can be perceived. So I think sometimes now we're getting used to this. We just need to make sure that we're getting the narrative right and we're telling the right story on each of our metrics.
Thank you. Has anybody else got anything that they want to say? No? Thank you. Again, I just think that I really like the format that's been used. I like that it's easy to follow, that things are indicated by stars where we need to, be honing in on them. And again, I think it's something that this is a report that will carry on evolving as we improve. And this is one that corporate really have got under the skin of, and and really push the officers when we are presenting this. So I think that I'm pleased with the way that this has gone, and I think that it's a report that I'm really pleased. I'm proud of this report and how far we've come. Went from the old days of just the arrows up and down and the same metrics measured and nobody could move anything. The corporate committee are able to ask for specific things to be added on to the measurements. So I think that it's a really good report. So I'm happy to present it to Cabinet tonight. So if nobody's got anything to say, then I'm going to go straight to the recommendations. So for the reasons set out in this report, the Cabinet is recommended to 1.1, agree the corporate and improvement plan milestones and metrics included in the corporate performance report at Appendix 1. Agreed. Note the quarterly corporate performance report and progress made up to the end of the second quarter of 25-26 in delivering the corporate and improvement plan.
Agreed.
And 1.3, considering the recommendations in areas of concern within the remits of overview and scrutiny to the chairs of those respective committees. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. We're now going to move on, and it's me again. So if you just give me a second to get my paperwork together. The LGR consultation response and devolution update. Again, this is me, so I'll be introducing this report for you. So last month, government informed us that the local government reorganisation consultation options for Essex will go live and run from the 19th of November to the 11th of January 2026. So that's just over 7 weeks of consultation now. Thurrock Council, local partners and neighbouring authorities have been invited to take part. We are using our communication channels to promote the consultation to residents and other interested parties. I've completed my own personal response to the consultation. It takes no more time than you take to sit down and drink your morning coffee, so please make time to complete it and encourage family and friends to do the same. Given the time we have to respond, which includes the holiday break, I'm thankful to officers for the quick work to ensure corporate overview and scrutiny were able to see and contribute to the consultation response before our meeting this evening. I believe we have submitted the right proposal for residents for Thurrock and all of Essex. Our proposal is based on an assessment of the evidence and a driving principle, ensuring that each of the new authorities has the best opportunity to achieve government criteria. Our proposal balances need and opportunity and creates sustainable councils who will be in the best position to decide their future, the type of council they want to be and how to run services tailored to the need of residents. I would like to invite Cabinet members to consider that response. I'd also like to say a few words about devolution. You will be aware now that the government made the unexpected announcement earlier this month that we are minded to defer the mayoral elections planned for May 2028. Given the hard work and preparations that has gone into setting up the combined authority in Essex, this news was extremely disappointing. You will know that we have recently appointed our interim chief executive and we have an additional post currently out for advert. The news of the delays to the mayoral election and the funding therefore means we have to think carefully about what happens next. Although disappointing, we will use the extra time to ensure our plans are robust, our relationships with businesses and organisations are strengthened, and the new combined authority has strong foundations to deliver for all of Essex. And if anybody's got any questions, I'm happy to take those. If not, I'll go straight to the recommendations. I'll go to Councillor Watson and then to Councillor Kent.
Thank you, and thank you for the report. Can we go back to LGR, because there's not much I can say really on the devolution stuff that we're all quite disappointed in. But because of all the hard work that we've done in analysing the other proposals that have come through, the 3 and the 4 and plus ours, plus the 5, can we build that into a case for our own? It would be really good if we could see the council submit a more detailed in our appraisal of all of the options when submitting the response back. Could this be added, if possible?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm
Also-
absolutely sure we can, officers are in the room and we can make sure that that happens.
Okay.
Absolutely fine.
Thank you. And the other thing I want to put out is the Centre of Cities published this week a report about LGR and which option drives the economic growth, which, as everybody knows, economic growth is my portfolio. They have recommended that the government pursues our 4-unitary model, and the reference to this new and independent analysis should also be included within our consultation response. So is that possible as well, please?
Thank you. I see that too, and it was really heartening to see that that they've taken the time to complete that response and support the 4. I've said since I started on the 4 modelling that I wanted to make sure that Essex and our modelling was an area that gave growth across Essex. It didn't just look after one area, and this one brought growth and prosperity for all of Essex. So that is the model that we backed for that reason. It didn't just look out for Thurrock, it looked across all of Essex and no one was left in isolation. I too have met with an organisation this week who said that they felt that after reading they'd taken the time to look at all of them, and that they felt that on balance, Thurrock was the one with the 4 model was the one that they too would be pursuing, because it was the one that represented their organisation here in Thurrock best. So I think that I'm glad that I did make that very difficult decision and not just follow, because I never believed that it was just right for Thurrock to just take what was on the table. I was always keen to make sure that I made the right decision for Thurrock and all of Essex. So I'm really pleased that others are seeing that I did make the right decision.
Chair, I'm happy with the recommendations, fully support the draft council response to the consultation. I think it's on the money, and very happy. I do want to say something on devolution though, because as one of those who has worked for 16 months to a timetable that was set down by government and have worked in good faith, to have the rug pulled 2 weeks ago with no consultation and no prior notice. You've used the word disappointed. I could think of a few more that I won't use, but it appears that one side has not been acting in good faith. And I read the report, I hear what you say, and yeah, sure, we'll make the best of it. It gives us more time to make sure that whatever's established is there and is able to operate from day one. It also means that we can tie up the creation of the new combined authority at the same time as the election of the first mayor for Essex, and there is some sense in that, but it still rankles about the way that it's done. And if I go back to the last time we discussed this in September, we agreed to the government's draft regulations, which established an election on the 7th of May and a combined authority starting on the 11th of May. That is the decision and the stance of this council. Do we have to do anything or to take a decision that revokes that decision?
Thank you. And since the announcement, I've had several meetings with government. I've been up to Westminster to meet the devolution minister, been on a call to her today, because the paper that came to cabinet had a clear set of recommendations, and those recommendations allowed for some minor changes, but cancelling an election by 2 years was not a minor change, and neither was the amount of funding that will be provided to this council a minor change. So we will now need to come back to cabinet with another paper, so we'll need a cabinet meeting to agree new recommendations. So that will be, as soon as we've got full confirmation from the government, that is what will happen. We will need to bring it back to cabinet, as will Essex, as will Southend, and as will any other council that's part of the devolution programme. John?
So at that point, as the devolution bill is still a bill, it hasn't been enacted, the government is still relying on the existing legislation to create a combined mayoral authority. That would mean that were we to be so minded, we could then pull out and collapse the proposed mayoral authority.
I would hope that that's not the process that we take, but that is an option on the table. Yes, it is. Anybody else got anything to say? No? Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to the recommendations. So 1.4, for the reasons set out in the report, the Cabinet is recommended to approve the Council's response to the Government's local government reorganisation in Essex consultation as appended to this report.
Agreed.
1.5 is, if 2.1 is agreed to submit the response to the Minister of State for Local Government and English Devolution on or before the 11th of January 2026. Agreed. And 1.6, to delegate to the Assistant Chief Executive Authority to submit Thurrock Council's LGR consultation response on or before the 11th of January 2026 on behalf of the Council, and to make any amendments as referenced in 1.2 above that Appendix B is draft, following consultation with the Leader and the Deputy Leader. Agreed? Thank you. So we are now moving on to item 15, which is Q2 Finance Report. Councillor B has a question for this item, and this will be dealt with after the report has been introduced. Can I ask Councillor Morris to introduce the item?
Thank you. So this is the report of the Q2 financial report, and obviously the Council's financial position does remain critical. The scope of this, it covers the revenue capital forecast for 25-26 as at Q2 on the 30th of September 2025. This includes the General Fund, the HRA, Savings Delivery, Reserves, Contingency, Capital Programme, Asset Disposals and Capitalisation Direction. I'm not going to talk a great deal in this particular report about the capital or the Treasury, because obviously I have two further reports coming that goes into great detail. So I think just a reminder for everyone that our budget started off as 240,656 and an operating budget of 176 million. The Treasury had to give us exceptional financial support of 64,282,000. Our capitalisation direction, which was 72 million, it needed exceptional financial support that we needed to have a balanced budget, which is, again, is extremely scary numbers. However, after last year's outturn, where we came in 21 million underspent, we committed to do a lot of work on the budget because that was a significant underspend. We have taken out a lot of that work, re-looked at the budgets for each of the directorates, pulled them more into line, looking at what growth was there, and actually we are now claiming that we think we're going to have an 11 million underspend, which again is good news for this council. So we do have an overspend of 0.7 million in some services, and we do have a large underspend in our corporate and technical budgets of 9.3 million. We have had 2.8 million in additional funding, and if those of you remember, that was the packaging support that I think Councillor Holloway brought either last cabinet or the cabinet before. So that's the additional money. We do plan to look with this underspend to pay down some more of our debt, because obviously the more debt we can pay down, it does improve our CD, and it means less reliance onto the government. If we look at the savings, we did have a target of 18,966,000, which did include 0.7 million from the previous year. To date, and this wasn't to Q2, this is actually to date, we have actually delivered just over 15 million of that. We are well on forecast to deliver the 18.966 million. There is some mitigation that's been put there from one or two of the directorates, but we are on target to deliver our savings target. With our reserves, we still have strong reserves, and what we are going to be doing before probably the year end, is to have a look at what earmarked reserves we've currently got there. Are they still relevant? Is that still the right thing to do, or should they be moved around and released back into the general reserves? Our housing revenue account looks to come out basically flat, just slightly over with 44,000. But all in all, the housing revenue account will come out as balanced. Our collection rates on our council tax remain strong, which is, I think, one of the testaments to the teams in our revenue and benefits team, that they work very, very hard with our residents and looking at how can we help you. And as the team's mantra that they tell me all the time, it's not about getting the debt out of the person, it's about getting the resident out of debt, is the mantra. And it's not about pursuing something that we really can't. How can we help you? What support can we give you? And actually that means that the collection rates that we've got are one of the highest in the region, and in which is a testament to our teams. And again, helps with the everyday revenue that we need. Our asset disposal and divestments, both programmes are progressing extremely well. By the end of 25-26, 64% of our planned asset disposals will have been realised, and I can't go into absolute details, we have seen some very favourable returns on our recent assets that we've been disposing on. So long may that continue. If we look at our divestment programme, it is actually really coming to the end. We've got one large amount that's going to be coming in Q4, and then really it's just the tail end of our divestments that are coming to the end of their programme. And really, I think the Q2, the actual report, I mean, it's huge. And we would be here all night if, and I'd bore the pants off of all of you going through it. But it is actually an interesting read. And if anybody has any other questions in it that they don't bring up today or they're not able to ask at the time, please just ping me an email and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I do think it's a good report. I do think it's a testament to the team, which I do pay, gratitude to, that they do work extremely hard. We have got stability there, and it is a robust team that is now delivering very strong results.
Thanks, Councillor Morris-Kick. So, Councillor Rigby, you do have your questions, but I believe that because it's finance, it's going to be answered by Councillor Hooper?
Yes, because it's a detail rather than the strategy.
Detail, yeah. So we're moving it to the right cabinet member.
I'm strategy, that would be the detail.
Okay. Councillor Rigby, would you like to answer your question?
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Morris-Cook, and I shall now ask the question to Councillor Detail. So transferring the Raeburn services showing as at risk, given that this is a significant proposed budget saving, is the plan to decommission the hospital bridging service from March 2026 still on track?
Reply from detailed councillor. Right. I strongly agree with the decommissioning of the bridging service. It will strengthen our in-house reablement service and simplify the care pathway. This will be achieved by consolidation of operations and expertise and resources, centralise our operations, staff contributions, training and case management become more cohesive. We simplify the patient/service user journey by providing a single streamlined pathway, reducing the hands-offs and accelerating access to reablement support and improving the overall outcome.
Councillor Rigby, do you have a supplementary?
Thank you. Can I just clarify something?
Yes, of course you can.
So you do think that it's still on track for March 2026 as planned? Yeah.
Yes, I am, and I am talking to officers on making sure that we are on track with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Supplementary? No. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Councillor Morris Cook? I think that she got a fair grilling in our closed sessions as well. So. Nobody? No, okay, Councillor Morris Cook, would you like to read your recommendation?
So 2.1, to note the Q2 forecast position for the General Fund Housing Revenue Account, Dedicated Schools Grant, Capital, Asset Disposal, Divestment Programmes and the Capitalisation Direction as presented in the report. To approve the following adjustments to 25-26 Capital Programme, the addition of the General Fund schemes totalling 193,000 to be funded through Section 106 contribution, taking the revised 25-26 General Fund Capital Programme to 101,401,000. The addition of schemes totalling 843,000 to be funded through a mixture of 106 contribution and external grant, taking the revised 25-26 HRA capital programme to 60,968,000. The establishment of a winding up fund for Thames Freeport Limited. The establishment of the new Directorate for Chief of Staff. And we recommend that 25-26 General Fund Capital Programme of 101,401,000 to full council.
Agreed.
Shall I just carry on?
So, yeah, item 17 is the draft capital programme.
Okay. So we do have a 3-year medium-term financial strategy, which is known as the MTFS, which has to be updated annually. The document shows the financial plans of the council over the medium term. The report that you've received tonight is the start of the refresh process, and the work does continue until the final budget for 26-27 and the 3-year MTFS is then presented to Cabinet in February. The key points of the work to date. The council had a savings target for 13,650,000 for 26-27. The report includes proposals to achieve this target, totalling 13.9 million. The strategy of the savings is to protect the frontline services. As we know, there's only so much salami slicing you can do, and you know we have done. And during the past 3 years, of obviously there was 8 million, then 18 million, then another 18.9. There is only so much you can cut, and actually sometimes you've got to start looking how can you do things differently, which is really what we're talking about in our transformation, and it's about doing business differently with our council. So we want to do business and be easy to do business with, not only for other businesses, for our contractors, the different contracts that we do, but primarily for our residents. In light of the in-year financial performance and the forecast in our years underspent, service growth requirements have been reviewed and revised. And we've revised them down. So we weren't where we put growth in, and I think one of them was specifically in adult social care, where we didn't need all of the growth that was in, and we were able to remove £1 million from that. However, this has not just reduced the operating budget, because we have had a number of unbudgeted pressures to fund, and we've had to report previously to Cabinet, including the transfer of Natis and the loss of income from the sale of the retail parades. The Treasury costs are still being reviewed, as they haven't been finalised yet, and as yet there's no update in there, but currently we know that that will be in place for our MTFS final that we will be delivering in February. The indicative, this is the bit for Councillor Spate, the indicative local government finance settlement has been released today and does include the outcomes of the fair funding review. My finance team are working through the detail, as you can imagine, and the impact of the changes for the funding for Thurrock, and this will be reported as soon as it's possible to. A focus of the fair funding review is really the reallocation of funding based on need, and data sources indicated that Thurrock is going to benefit from this change due to its higher deprivation stats. Any additional funding will reduce the requirement for our exceptional financial support and will not be committed to new expenditure. Therefore, the draft budget and this MTFS assumed the current exceptional financial requirements and again needs to be reviewed following the settlement. It does actually presume that our council tax will be 2.99 with the precept of the 2%, taking it to 4.99. And we have updated other known factors that does include the pay award. We have also got in the MTFS how we presume that the asset disposals will pan out, how the tail end of the divestments, and obviously the end divestment amount that we're waiting to come in Q4. So basically, the MTFS has everything that the council is doing, what its budget is, what its savings is, what its demands are going to be, and everything is put into one, and we do it for 3 years, because that then shows, is it going to be a sustainable programme? Is there other things we need to do? We're able then to speak to the government, which we are doing all the time in MHCLG, to see how else can we be supported? What other levers should we be pulling? Are we doing everything we can? So that is where we are with the current MTFS, which is really a draft version where we'll get the full one in February. And I hope that all makes sense to everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Morris Cook, and the work that you've done on it. Does anybody have any questions? No? No. Okay, straight on to your recommendations. Good luck.
Okay, this is a long one.
It's a long one.
So, yeah. Cabinet is requested to approve the draft budget for 26-27 and the draft MTFS for 26-27 to 28-29, noting it's subject to further consultation, so the Cabinet may later consider the budget considering the consultation responses. That is something I do need to just stop, because what I've failed miserably to do is to say that actually the budget will be going out to consultation to residents, and it's the biggest thing, and I've actually forgotten it, so I do apologise. But it will be available for residents to comment on, and I do urge people to look at this to try and understand the work we are doing to protect our frontline services, because I do think it's critical. So, you know, if you're listening at home now, please look through. If you do wish to challenge anything, come back, or you've got any ideas, bring it on, I say. So, back to the recommendation. Sorry about that. Cabinet is requested to approve the draft budget 26-27 and the draft medium-term financial strategy 26-27, 28-29, noting it's subject to further consultation. So the Cabinet may later consider the budget, considering the consultation responses, the equality impact assessment, before it's referred to Council in February. Note the Autumn Budget 25 confirmed broad plans which will impact local government 26-27 onwards, that the draft budget will be updated when detail is announced in the indicative financial settlement, which is expected and has been delivered today. Note that at draft stage, savings proposals 13.9 million are identified against a target of 13.65 million. Note the planning assumption to increase core council tax by 2.99 and to increase the adult social care precept council tax by 2% in 26-27. Agree the council's 26-27 schools funding formula to be implemented as stated in paragraph. This is being consistent with previous Cabinet decisions made since 2021. And refer this report to the Corporate Overview and Scrutiny Committee on the 20th of January for their consideration.
All agreed?
Lovely.
And we're going to stay with, we're going to wait for Councillor Henry
Oh, yeah.
to leave the room. Item 17, Draft Capital Programme 26-27 to 28-29. Councillor Morris Cook, this is one for you again.
Yes. So this report sets out the proposed changes to the Council's capital programme aligned to the medium-term financial plan. The final year of the programme is obviously 28-29, which coincides with the first year of the unitary arrangements under the LGR, assuming current timelines are maintained. The key points. We have a capital programme. We have had minimal additions, and we have focused on a review of the schemes in light of the continued slippage on the current programme. So what we have done so far is we had our third meeting today of the Capital Board, where we have gone through each of the capital projects line by line, and we have looked at anything there was lots of residue from previous projects, less than £10,000. We have taken out and cleared down the programme because it's unmanageable. There were like pages of it, so that has been completely looked at and done. Where we had some school grants and there was some odd residue of money left, the odd £5,000–6,000, that goes back in to support schools in other grants, so it doesn't just disappear. We've also gone through looking at the slippage and why is there slippage, because it is a very easy thing just to put slippage, let's move it into next year, but we have gone back to each of the offices and directorates. We have now got clear lines as to why the programmes are slipping. Is that acceptable? Have they been going on? And, you know, we are taking things a step further if they're not going to be delivered by LGR or they've been slipping for 2 or 3 years, we are going to be removing that from them. So there is a real emphasis on making sure we're doing the right thing for the capital programme. Anybody and any of obviously the directorates can come to the board with ideas that they want, but it has to come as part of a business case and it has to be signed off by finance, and it's no good just turning around saying, oh, we need £300,000 because we are not able to borrow money. So we have to look at what are the grants that we can do. And if we do anything, we have to make sure everything is absolutely, that there's no more demand on revenue by instigating this project. And so far, we've only had 2 projects come through. One is to replace the lighting in Greystown Centre with LED lighting, which will end up as a saving of approximately about £45,000 a year. So it's a good, and it sort of wipes its face after, I think it's 3 years, which is a good sign. And the other one is to do with the cloud migration and making sure that our cyber security is really where we need it to be. And I think that is critical. So they are the only 2 that we have gone through. We really do make sure that if anything new that's coming, it is absolutely critical, or there's a health and safety risk. So there has to be some real strong lines as to why people are coming to the Capital Board. And it is being refreshed. Each of the portfolio holders are taking a lot of now responsibility. I do think I just want to defer to Councillor Hartstein just for a moment, because I know that she is bursting at the seams to just announce some of the spending that has been allowed. Defer to her.
Councillor Hartstein.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, it was just obviously in terms of obviously education capital funding. Any funding is good, is positive, is good news, very much welcome. But obviously it's 4.4.1, just to draw Cabinet's attention to the fact that we're looking here at the seeking Cabinet approval for the expansion of the Treetops Free School. It's really good news. It's 12 classroom expansion, and that will provide an extra 120 places for young people with special educational needs. It says over the 3-year period. This is a really, really good piece of news for us, and it's much, much needed. These places are very much needed for our young people in Thurrock, so it's really, really good news, and I'm absolutely delighted by this. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think we all welcome that announcement. I think it's been one that we've been waiting for, so we're really pleased to hear that. Thank you. Back to you, Councillor Morris.
Yes, and we will be having, actually, our capital strategy will be coming, I think it's either in January or February. February? Yeah, so it'll be coming in February. This is really a mini sort of taster of what's to come, just to show that we're actually doing some real due diligence on the reports that are coming through.
Is that it? Yes. This bit. Anybody got any questions? No, nothing else from you, Councillor Artstein? No? Okay. Would you like a glass of water again before you do your recommendations?
With regards to the refresh of the capital programme and the reasons set out in the report, the Cabinet is recommended to note the proposed new capital projects as part of the capital refresh set out in 4.2.1, approve the deletion of the projects in Appendix B as part of the capital refresh and the freeing up of associated resources, note the updated and refreshed capital programme summarised Table 3 with full detail in Appendix E. With regard to 25-26 capital programme, from the reasons set out in this report, the Cabinet is recommended to approve in principle the proposed additions and environments to the education capital programme set out in paragraph 4.4, Appendix D, approve a £7.6 million budget for the expansion of Treetops Free School to be funded from the SEN capital budget, approve a £600,000 budget funded by a 106 grant to replace the alternative provision at Thameside Primary. Approve the commencement and procurement process in accordance with the Council and UK procurement law to appoint designers and project teams for the school capital programme and appoint the principal contractors to take forward the construction of the proposed schemes, Treetops and Thameside Primary. Approve the delegation to be given to the Director of Children's Services in consultation with the relevant portfolio holder, Chief Financial Officer, to enter into an appropriate form of agreement following the award of the agreements arising from recommendations G above in compliance with the Council's procurement regulations.
All agreed? Yep. Okay, thank you. Moving swiftly on to... Oh yes, sorry, can we get Councillor Kent back before we move on? Thank you. Have a little breather, a few deep breaths. Item 18, Treasury Management Mid-Year Reports, 25-26. Councillor Morris Cook, can I ask you to introduce your item?
Yes. So I really actually enjoy introducing the Treasury Management Report and the strategy because, as I've said before, the actual document is probably one of the most important documents that the Council has. And it is something that really does give a taste and a health check of where we are with our finances. So, when we set the strategy, we really had 4 strategic objectives. And this report is to really update you on how we're doing against them. And if you look at page 315, you have them there in their glory, the Treasury Management, seeking to divest from commercial investments and using the sums received to reduce borrowing, uptaking the asset sales and using the sums received to reduce borrowing, looking to restructure remaining debt, and making sure that we are compliant with all our statutory and non-statutory requirements. Thank you. And if you look where we are with these, we have looked with our investments and, you know, as I said before, we are 64% through to the year with our asset disposals, and really with the divestments we are really now near the tail end and we've just got one chunk to come in quarter 4. So that's really exactly where we needed to be. If we look at where we are with our debt, we are limited to just the public works loans, the PWLD, public works Board, yes, sorry, thank you. And they are the only people that we can go to when we look to refinance some of our current debts. So we do look, and we are being very, very careful, and our Treasury team, led by Richard Dunlop and his team, do an amazing job on a daily basis, looking at what we have in our reserves, utilising that to refinance some of the debts, so we aren't having to borrow anywhere else. And we do this in a line with our Treasury team, and it really has, you know, brought things that we've managed to do a lot of the refinancing using our reserves without having to go outside. So we've been very, very careful on how we're looking at, and literally our borrowing is limited to refinancing only. Because if we try to do anything else, we have to get the commissioners to basically sign that off, and you know they aren't going to do that. So if we look where we are with our CFR, which is our level of indebtedness, we're forecast to be more favourable by 19 million as to where we were going to be this time last year. So we are definitely on the right road to recovery, and we've stayed well within all of our financial indicators and the prudential indicators, which is really useful. We continue to manage the cash flow, as I say, and it's very tight. And I'm sure that I do think that Richard and his team have done some briefings with a lot of the members here, and if there's any other members that would like it, we had a Treasury briefing, and it was really, really helpful, and it really does make things, it makes it seem easier to understand. So if anyone wants to have that, please make sure you just get in touch with Dawn and her team, and I'm sure they'd be happy to put a one-off training on for anybody else. But as I say, you know, it's good to see we're well within our prudential indicators of where we are. You know, we aren't going out investing, so if we were, that would be in this Treasury report, but clearly we're not. So it's quite a basic report, but it is a very important one, because it says, are we doing what we said we were going to do? And the answer is yes.
Thank you. You make something very dry sound very interesting, Councillor Maurice Cook.
It actually is.
Does anybody have any questions for Councillor Maurice Cook? No? Then we'll ask you to move to your recommendation.
This is really, and I don't need a glass of water for this one, it's just to note the Treasury Management mid-year update 25-26.
Agreed. And for your last report of the evening, item 19, award of the contract for clad. Oh, there's a second amendment recommendation.
God, I've missed one. Where's that?
Recommend the report to council.
Oh, sorry, recommend the report to council.
Yeah, all
Just
agreed?
seeing if we're all awake.
Thank you.
I haven't sent you to sleep. Right, I'm moving away from finance. You'll be pleased. Some might be pleased to hear, some may not. And I'm moving into the world of IT. So, it's pink papers.
All right. If anyone's going to... Yeah. Thank you. So members are asked to consider whether the press and public should be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of an agenda item on the grounds that it involves the likely disclosure of exempt information as specified in Part 1 or Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, or being confidential for the purpose of Section 100A2 of that Act in each... Okay. Okay, so we're just asking for the agreement that the next two items are at the exclusion of the press and public, because we have pink papers that we'll be discussing during those items. Thank you. Is that agreed, everybody? Agreed. Okay, thank you. Rhiannon, can we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So you could remain in public session unless a member wished to discuss
Just, yeah.
elements that are
Okay, I didn't have that written in my things.
private session, that is really at the discretion.
Is anybody confident that they may or may not stray into the pink papers during Councillor Kent?
We've done this several times before, Chair. I think if we get to the stage where somebody does want to discuss it, then they indicate that they want to, and then we move into exempt session, I would suggest.
So those people that want to stay can stay, but we'll let you know if somebody needs to go into an item into the pink papers. Okay, Councillor Morris Cook, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay, so this is really about cloud service and a migration contract award, and we have been discussed this previously a few months ago, where Cabinet did agree to go to procurement. This is really just to say that that has taken place, and that we now wish to seek Cabinet's approval to award a 3-year contract for cloud services and migration support. And we might ask, why do we need it? Thurrock is probably one of the only authorities still to be reliant on in-house servers, an antiquated solution that's years overdue for an upgrade. We really need to move to this as a more move towards cyber security. We do have a couple of internal servers that are due for an upgrade, and they do remain supported. But overall, we do need to move our business to the cloud. However, if we don't go, we would need to make significant investment in new servers and associated hardware and software. And I do believe that all of the other authorities within Essex are actually all on the cloud. So we would be like a really ancient authority if we didn't do this. So migrating to the cloud carries broadly similar levels of risk, regardless of whether an organisation chooses the Microsoft Azure or the Amazon Web Services. Both are highly secure platforms and widely used across public and private sectors. Ultimately, security depends far more on how the systems are configured and managed rather than on which provider is selected. A well-designed environment on either platform can be secure, while a poorly configured one can introduce risk. So we had a standard procurement approach looking at the supply criteria and the process. We also asked for internal references, and we also went out and actually looked at our own references independent of the companies to make sure that we were getting sort of the first version of truth per se, and we could ask several other questions, and the references for the company that has been chosen came back very favourable. It has also come in within budget, which is also something that is extremely pleasant to actually announce. So the benefits of this will be operation continuity, scalability. We can cost it predictably, security and compliance, full collaboration from the teams, and we are future-proofing our authority. And I think I'll keep it there, then I'm not straying into anything I shouldn't do.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions to Councillor Morris? Okay, Councillor Watson has a statement for you.
I've got a question. It's about time that we've gone into the cloud. I mean, I'm quite shocked that we're probably one of the very, very few large local governments that, and probably we might even be the only one, that still have servers in our basement. I mean, it's quite embarrassing, really, when you think also about the fact that, you know, everywhere I've worked, including civil service, have got a cloud. So I really welcome this, and I'm glad to see that you've got it within budget as well. So well done on that. So the sooner the better for me, because if we had a flood, I don't know what's going to happen with all our data that is sitting in our basement right now. So I'm really for this, so I will be supporting this.
Thank you. I think we probably all feel that way, as do officers, and it's been a long time coming. So if nobody else has got anything to say, back to you, Councillor Morris-Cook.
Okay, thank you. So for the recommendations, 2.1, I approve the award of the 3-year contract for cloud licensing and support services, subject to a standstill to the recommend supplier identified in Appendix B, the evaluation summary procured via the G-Cloud framework to commence on the 2nd of February 2026. To delegate the authority of the Executive Director of Corporate Services in consultation with the lead member of Finance and Resources to finalise and enter the contract.
All agreed?
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Morris-Cook. That was the last of your reports this evening. And that leads on to the last report of the evening, and that is the Transformation Roadmap, which is my report. Again, there is pink papers. Again, there's pink papers attached to this, so if you do feel that you want to ask a question or want to stray into an area that is on the pink papers, then please let me know so that we can make the room exempt of public and the press and councillors. So I'm pleased to introduce this report to Cabinet. It marks an important milestone in our journey to transform Thurrock Council into an organisation that is fit for the future, which is financially sustainable and truly responsive to the needs of our residents. The transformation roadmap before you is not just another plan. It is the single integrated mandate for how we will change the way we work and deliver services over the coming years. This is a whole council approach structured around 5 key programmes: smarter commissioning, digital customer and workforce innovation, internal customer, transforming neighbourhood services and delivery model. Each programme is designed to improve efficiency, enhance resident and staff experiences and achieve the savings we need to meet our financial obligations. But let me be clear, this is not a document that will be sitting on a shelf. This is a call for action. Our success depends on the adoption and the alignment across both the political leadership and the officers. I am fully committed to the transformation roadmap, and I have appointed members of Cabinet to have oversight of these programmes alongside our senior leadership team to ensure they stay focused and coordinated. And I'm going to share with you who will be looking after each of the 5 strands as a political and for the political areas. So smarter commissioning, Councillor Morris-Cook will be working with officers on this. Digital customer and workforce will be Councillor Watson. Internal customer will be Councillor Hartstein. Transforming neighbourhood services will be Councillor Heath. And delivery model will be Councillor Ken. I have spoken to each of you individually, so that shouldn't come as any surprise to you that you're now responsible for an area of the transformation. That alignment is critical. It's the only way we will deliver meaningful change, avoid piecemeal solutions and meet the expectations set out in our corporate and improvement plan. We face significant challenges going forward, ongoing deficits, continued savings targets, whilst preparing for local government reorganisation and being in council intervention. This roadmap gives us a structure to focus to meet those challenges head on. It will enable us to prioritise our resources, act quickly and deliver improvements that matter to the residents and staff. Transformation of this council is not optional. It is essential, and through this roadmap we will build robust trust, deliver better services and create an enabling council that works for our residents and businesses. I'm quite happy to take questions on that, but I'm sure that you've all read the report and it's quite clear. It's a nice, concise report that has all of your clear pink papers that sends you off on your way to help transform this council and meet our changes. Anybody got any questions for me? No? Okay. Then I'm going to go straight to the recommendations. And that's 2.1, the transformation roadmap, the resources map and the detail of 5 programmes. Agreed?
Agreed.
Approved the commencement of the procurement of a transformation partner for the Chief Executive and Managing Director Commissioner as set out in 6.5 to 6.7 of this report. Agreed? And 2.3, should recommendation 2.2 be agreed, delegate authority to the Chief Executive and Managing Director Commissioner in consultation with the leader, the Cabinet Member for Resources, the Chief Finance Officer and the Executive Director for Corporate Services to award a contract to a transformation partner following the procurement process. All agreed. Okay, thank you. And that concludes the business of the meeting, and I now declare the meeting closed at 8:23.